Welcome to Conversations with Diana. Today's guest is none other than Rashmi Biswas. Rashmi has successfully led large teams, held profit and loss accountability, and gained extensive business experience within corporate and academic arenas in Canada, the USA, and the UK. Rashmi specializes in leadership development, team performance, and process facilitation. She holds a master's degree in human resource management from Sheffield Hallam University, a Bachelor of Science with honors degree from Manchester Metropolitan University, a Postgraduate Certificate in Adult Education, Facilitation and Training from the University of Teesside, and a Diversity and Inclusion for Human Resource Certificate from Cornell University. Rashmi is a member of the International Association of Facilitators, a Step II Myers-Briggs Practitioner, and a certified facilitator in the Coaching Leader. Rashmi is a program facilitator with the Ontario Institute for Studies in Education at the University of Toronto and an instructor at the Goodman School of Business, Brock University. And she is the author of the motivational book, Rash Decisions, Accept Where You Are and Then Be Amazing. In current volunteer positions, Rashmi serves as a board member for the Niagara Community Foundation, is a member of the St. Catharines Anti-Racism Advisory Committee, and co-founder of the Gender Equity Task Force, Niagara. Hello, Rashmi. Thank you so much for joining the show. Welcome.
Thank you, Diana. It's my pleasure. Thanks for asking me.
You're most welcome. Can you tell us a bit about your background and your journey to becoming a management consultant here in Canada?
Yes, absolutely. So currently I am a management consultant. Actually, we call ourselves performance consultants, focusing on improving performance within the organization. And the beginning was that I had an academic career in the UK. So I worked in academia and I enjoyed that. And I think that gave me some background for teaching and some of those platform skills. And then when I moved to Canada over 20 years ago now, I worked in corporate North America, primarily in learning and development within corporate human resource teams. And again, further refining the skill set. And then I was fortunate enough to have an opportunity within corporate to actually have direct business responsibility. So at this point, I had profit and loss accountability, and I was leading a large team of people. And it was after that experience, which was about 5 years, so my combined academic, corporate learning and development, and then the direct business responsibility, that then gave me the confidence to pursue a career within management consulting. So it was an interesting path.
Yes, I can imagine. It sounds very much so. Can you tell us a bit more about Lake and Associates?
Yeah.
And any upcoming initiatives?
Yeah, by all means. So as I say, we call ourselves performance consultants, and we focus on 3 specific areas for the business, and that is the leader, the team, and the numbers. So within these 3 categories, we develop either programs, workshops, or work side by side with the business owner or the corporation as they're trying to have performance improvements in each of those areas. So for example, we design and deliver leadership development programs. We work with teams around team effectiveness and how to enhance team performance. And then from the numbers side, we look at operational discipline within the organization. And we work with small businesses as well as large corporations, both in the private sector and in the public sector. And my specific expertise is around workshop design and delivery, which goes back to my earlier experience of platform skills and teaching and designing programs within corporations. And then also I've developed over the last few years a stronger skill set in process facilitation, so helping guide a group or a team or say a group of senior leaders to help solve a particular business issue where they just need a objective third party to help guide some of that conversation. And some of that includes panel moderation, for example, so at conferences or events. So specific topics around things like strategic planning, executive coaching. We have a coaching leader program that we are licensed to deliver, and we also work with some different assessment tools like Myers-Briggs or 360 assessments.
Yes, and I think you've been around for quite a while. Has it been like 10 years or more?
Yes, we are just over 10 years, so it's gone really fast when I think about it. But yes, it's been an incredible experience, and it's just, you learn a lot. It's a rich and rewarding experience, and you learn a lot as you go through, and you learn from the clients that you're with, and of course research and reading and continuous opportunities. And yeah, it's a privilege to do this kind of work. It really does feel like an honor.
It does. And congratulations on achieving that milestone.
Thank you.
I'm sure you must be proud.
Thank you very much. Yes, yeah, we are secretly proud. Yeah.
Can you tell us what inspires you, or what or who inspires you as it relates to your professional and personal goals? You can choose which one you want to discuss.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think I'm going to say professionally, I'm inspired by my clients, by our clients, who are doing extraordinary work, who are leading large teams, are working sometimes in challenging situations. And I enjoy the problem solving side of that. So clients come to us with a business issue, and we're able to help navigate and provide a performance solution to that, be it a leadership solution or a team solution. So I enjoy the problem solving. I find that very inspiring. I find that motivating. And I think I'm a teacher at heart, and I enjoy bridging that that gap, if you like, between academia and practice. So I really respect my academic experience, and that taught me to be a good researcher and to really have respect for the research and the theory and the models. And then in the practitioner work, and because of my corporate experience, I feel like I've been able to find ways to adapt and bring the theory and the models and the academic side of it to life, and to bring it to life for clients in a practical, accessible way. So I find that very motivating. And I enjoy working with the teams and working with the client groups as they are solving problems, finding creative solutions, and just engaging in discussion and ideation activities. So there's a lot of reward in working directly with the clients. And I've been fortunate. I've had some great mentors throughout my career in all different organizations that I've worked in. I've worked with some extraordinary leaders and colleagues and peers. And then I've also worked with other management consultants when I was working in corporate. And I had always felt that that's something that I would like to do one day, when I was able to sort of acknowledge and recognize that I had started to develop the right skill set and acquire the right kind of experience to do that. So it has been quite an interesting experience and journey.
I can imagine, Rashmi, because at the end of the day, the whole reward is in seeing the I guess the incremental improvements based on when you first started out with the client, and then watching them grow and develop and achieving their goals at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely, Diana. And even if you're working with a group just as a one-time experience, just seeing the group come together, share ideas, be able to solve a problem, move forward, move ahead, it's very rewarding. I think, if you're an educator at heart, it's a very rewarding experience.
How has the pandemic, is a nice segue to this question, which I ask every guest that has been on the show. How has the pandemic impacted your business, first of all? And secondly, in light of the fact that a lot of businesses, if not all, have been obviously having challenges because of the global pandemic, how has it benefited yourself? Because I know you say you feel a sense of reward because you thrive on challenge. So it must be very, even more so of a rewarding experience, because this is definitely a watershed moment, if you will.
Yes, you're right. We can't have a conversation at the moment without acknowledging the extraordinary impact and devastating impact in many cases of the pandemic. And from our experience, what it has meant is that almost everything has become virtual. So almost 100% of our work now is virtual, and that was not the case prior to. And really the inspiration has come from the clients, because they have been incredibly agile. They've moved quickly and they've adapted to the delivery of programs, meetings, experiences online. So we've been fortunate to make good use of the tools like many other people. The technology has been provided for us. We've all embraced that. And so we've really embraced this virtual space ourselves. I mean, prior to March, almost all of our work was standing physically at a client's location, essentially in a classroom, if you like, or, in a meeting room and delivering in person. And now everything is online. So enormous credit to the clients for being willing to adapt so quickly and to have confidence and faith in the virtual experience. And for anybody who's participated, that they've embraced it too. And we have found some extraordinary successes with clients from doing it that way, who have really been able to see the positive side of the shift and really make it work in what is very difficult and challenging circumstances for people when they're working from home, all kinds of other concerns and realities and the challenge of the healthcare issues and the economic impact. So enormous respect and credit for those who've been able to work with the reality and keep moving forward with positivity and continue to engage their clients. I think the other part of the pandemic is that it has absolutely highlighted issues around equity, diversity, and inclusion. This has all been happening while we've all been in essential some kind of lockdown or working from home, and there's been a heightened awareness and an increased amount of attention to equity, diversity, and inclusion. And so from a professional perspective, I actually took the opportunity to upgrade my own skills in this area. And I completed the Diversity and Inclusion HR certificate at Cornell University so that we can start to incorporate some of this expertise and bring this to our clients, recognizing that this is critical at this time to have these conversations. So that was an important shift for us, and perhaps something that had been amplified and probably accelerated, I think, due to the heightened awareness that's happened because of the pandemic.
You're right. There's so many organizations that have now stepped up and recognized that they have to put things in place if they didn't have one in place before, to make sure that they're being compliant, and not just being compliant, but listening to their employees and everyone basically. How has the response been since you have launched that course or that program?
Yeah, so we haven't launched anything formally at the moment. So still to develop the skill set and develop the expertise, and then it's part of our planning for 2021. So we didn't want to take it for granted. We wanted to make sure that we do it thoroughly and that we do it well in a mindful and strategic way. So it's part of our it's part of our planning for 21 to bring it to clients next year. Now that we've had more time to develop the expertise and not be too hasty to put something out there that was incomplete.
That makes sense. That's excellent. I applaud that initiative.
Thank you. And it was a rewarding experience to take the program. It was a global program, people from literally all over the world, and you're going through this shared experience. So I learned a lot. It really did was quite the experience for me individually and professionally, just recognizing some of the different elements that perhaps I hadn't considered previously. So it was valuable.
Sounds like something I should check out. How long was the program?
You can complete in 3 months if you keep going. So it's limited different modules, and you're able to pause in between if your schedule demands pause. But yes, I'm happy to share the link with you, Diane. I think you'll probably find it a rewarding experience.
Thanks, Rashmi. I appreciate that. So I'm just going to shift slightly and talk a bit about one of the main reasons why I reached out to you initially, which is your book, Rash Decisions. Can you tell us a bit about what inspired that book and what made you write it and the message you wish to convey?
Yeah, and thanks for raising that. I mean, I wrote this book in 2011 and it was published in 2012. So Rash Decisions is a book about transitions. And I wrote it when I was in a very transitional stage of my own life. So having left corporate, coming to self-employment, Lake was in its early days. So it was partly about accepting the move on from corporate, because that came with letting go of some dreams that I had around corporate life. and then being willing to think about and embrace and challenge myself to think about some new dreams. So the message in the book is about not being held back by past decisions that you've made, and to proactively stride forward, making new decisions and charting this new course for yourself. You know, I'm always inspired by a 90-year-old who finishes their high school diploma, or a 45-year-old who's taken 6 years to complete their bachelor's degree. And I think learning, growth, and moving forward is fundamental to achieving an accomplished life. And I felt it was such a pivotal point in my own life that that's what it was. It's about transitions.
It's an amazing book. I would tell anyone to not walk, but run and get your book, because one of the messages I got from it was be amazing. You know, in everything you do, strive to be amazing and not be too hard on yourself.
Yeah, and thanks for that, Diane. I appreciate the kind comments. And yes, it is that notion that, you know, today, let's be amazing today, whatever that looks like. And
yes,
without being too sort of Pollyanna, as if, you know, not acknowledging the challenges that everybody faces, but just finding some way of bringing that concept, if you like, that philosophy of, you know, how can I be amazing in this situation? How can I? And it's something that we all work towards, I think.
yes, that is true. At least for me. How do you stay focused, Rashmi? I know you're a yoga practitioner. I don't know if you still are, but you mentioned that in your book. Is that one of the ways that keeps you focused, and what makes you, what helps you to stay motivated?
Yeah,
so
I am actually, I did take my yoga teacher training a few years ago, but I'm not teaching at the moment. Yoga has been one of those practices for me that has been calling me all my life, and I go back to it, and then I drift away from it, and then I go back to it. So I feel like it's always there, and I have a yoga mat permanently rolled out at home. So I think from a work perspective, I'm very fortunate in that I work with my husband, Rick Westman, in our business. And Rick certainly inspires me. He's always willing to take on new initiatives, and he brings his experience to a wide range of different situations. So I find that very motivating, very inspiring, because we also then are able to share ideas, we co-create, we sound ideas out, we challenge each other. So I find that extremely motivating. And
I love that. I love a couple that works together and they can find common ground, and you have commonalities in terms of what you're striving for, and you're like, it's like iron sharpening iron, as they say.
And it's always it's a bit of a balance, because you have to find how you work best together.
Yes.
And over the years we have sort of fine-tuned that to some degree, that we understand each other's thinking styles and decision-making styles and communication styles. And once you work through some of those issues, then which is real life, I think, for all of us, then you really can maximize the opportunity. And we really do love what we do. So, you know, we don't mind talking about it all the time and working on it all the time. And I'm also driven by this sense of wanting to do the best, you know, be amazing, if you like, for clients. One of my colleagues talked about the importance of always honoring your audience. And a lot of work that we do is in front of an audience, or be it a small team, or sometimes a very large group. And this notion of honoring your audience, I think about that a lot when I'm developing a program or facilitating a meeting or a workshop, that people are giving their time to be here, and it is incumbent upon me to make sure that this is a really powerful, positive, well-developed, well-designed, meaningful experience for the participants. So that's highly motivating.
Okay. What advice can you give anyone who is looking at getting into performance consulting, or any business for that matter, especially if they're an immigrant?
Yeah, I think the advice I would give anybody who is new to Canada, or even if you're just new to the town or the region that you're living in, is going out of your way to meet as many people as possible, joining groups, joining clubs, organizations, volunteering, networking, ask for a meeting, being assertive and sort of reaching out and inviting people to a virtual coffee date. And I think that's of course very difficult right now in the pandemic. But on the other hand, it may be easier because people perhaps are at their desks more, they're not traveling as much, if at all. They may find they've got some capacity and people are quite willing to meet virtually, whereas if you'd ask someone for an in-person meeting, they just may not have been able to fit into their schedule. So don't be put off by that. And I think it's just about connecting and gaining access. So gaining access and asking someone to help you find access is important. And then I think just offering your services. For performance consulting in particular, I would say the opportunity is bringing solutions to people. So being clear that your offer is not just a program, but it's actually a solution for the client. And then I think you have to tell people what you do. I think you have to ask for referrals and you have to ask for introduction. And I think it's not a straight line. You know, at one point over the last few years with building Lake, at one point I ran a business book club, and I even co-hosted for a year a talk radio show with a friend of mine. So it's not always a straight line that's moving you exactly where you want to be, but it's part of the process and it's part of that journey. So not being disappointed if something that you've pursued or that you've put effort and time into doesn't result in an immediate return, it's just part of the process. And I think accepting that and taking that perspective can be really helpful too.
That's so true. I'm finding that out.
Good for you. Yeah.
It's being consistent, and it's just the little things you do that will pay off in the future. You just have to stay the course and continue to. That's why it's important to do what you love, as you mentioned.
That's the thing. You have to really enjoy it for what it is right now. And this is what we're doing today. And, you know, thinking that it's going to help you, you know, build and grow as you move, even if it's not always immediately obvious.
Yes. How do you unwind? What do you do to unwind when you're not working?
I have a couple of friends that I walk with. And so we have our walk and talks. So I walk pretty frequently and regularly, and of course it's something we can do socially distanced outside. So we've been fortunate that we're able to do that. So I do between 5 and 10 kilometers with a friend, and we talk. We have ideation sessions. We talk, we exercise. It's friendship. It's the perfect combination. And I actually bought a bike over the summer, so I became a pandemic peddler. And I like that as a solo activity. And Rick is a bass fisherman, so he goes out on the water, and sometimes I go and do that with him as well. Of course, in the summer, that's something that we were doing. And then I'm a real podcast fan. So I've got some serious podcasts that I listen to, like the Monk Debates or Revisionist History with Malcolm Gladwell. And lately I've been listening to Americast, which is a British take on US politics. So I really enjoyed that because that's back to my UK background. But I'm also a secret ghost story fan. So I've got this other podcast.
Really? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's called We Need to Talk About Ghosts, and that comes out every Sunday. So I like the ghost stories. And also since the pandemic, I've started knitting, but I'm really not very good at it. So I've got a shelf full of really badly knitted squares and rectangles.
It sounds like you've been pretty active. So, oh my goodness, 5 to 10 kilometers, Rashmi?
Yeah, because we're talking, you don't notice how far you've gone. It's
true. It's so true. Yes, strength in numbers where that's concerned.
Yeah, and you can keep your distance, and you can still talk, and it's been a real benefit.
Rashmi, how can people get in contact with you if they want to connect?
Oh yeah, I'd be pleased to hear from your listeners or your audience. So our website is lakeandassociates.ca. My email address is rbiswas@lakeandassociates.ca, and I'm on Twitter at Rashmi or Lake. So I'd be pleased to hear from someone.
Sounds great, and I'm going to drop those details in the description of the video for those who may have missed that.
Thank you, Diana. That's very kind of you.
You're welcome. Is there anything else you wish to share with our audience before we go?
I just want to say good for you for doing this. I think it's very powerful. I think it's important. I think it shows leadership, and you're encouraging all of us to share our stories. And I think it's an important time to be doing that. So good for you, Diana. And thank you very much for inviting me onto your program.
No, thank you. The pleasure was all mine, Rashmi. And I just want to take this opportunity to wish you all the best for the holidays and a prosperous and happy 2021.
Thank you, Diana, and to you too, and to your audience, absolutely.
Thank you so much. And for everyone who had watched, thank you so much for tuning in, and stay tuned for our next episode of Conversations with Diana. In order for me to continue to share real stories of real people, I need for you to smash that subscribe button, enable notifications, like, share, and follow.